Okay guys, so this is going to be solving trig equations in the calculator, the example problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at both in degrees and radians. So that's pretty much the hardest part, is making sure that you're in the correct mode. Okay, so it's the same steps as before we're solving regular trig equations. So your first step is to identify your quadrants. So sine is going to be negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. Now, we are in degrees for this top section, so make sure you switch your calculator mode to degrees. Now, the second step is to find your reference angle, alpha. So when we do this in the calculator, we're going to do inverse sine of 0.82. We're going to leave the negative sign off because the negative sign told us what quadrants we're going to be using. So we're going to do inverse sine, so second sine of 0.82, and we hit enter. So we're going to go 3 decimal places. So 55.085. Okay, now quadrant 3 answer is going to be 180 plus 55.805, and quadrant 4 answer is 360 minus 55.805. So 180 plus 55.805, you get 235.805. And then we get 360 minus 55.805, 304.195. And it's that easy. Okay, next one. 5 cotangent of theta is equal to 12. So what we have to do first is we have to isolate the trig. So we get cotangent of theta is equal to 12 over 5. Now we don't have a cotangent key on our calculator. So what we have to do is we have to rewrite this in terms of something we have. So we're going to rewrite it in terms of its reciprocal, tangent. So tangent of theta is equal to 5 over 12. So anytime we're dealing with cotangent, secant, or cosecant, you're going to have to do this reciprocal step. Okay? So tangent's going to be positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. Your reference angle we get from our calculator is going to be inverse tangent of 5 over 12. So we go to our calculator. Inverse tangent, 5 over 12, is 22.620. Okay, so our quadrant 1 answer is going to be 22.620, and your quadrant 3 answer is going to be 180 plus 22.620, which is going to be 202.620, and I'm just going to double check that on the calculator real quick. Yep. Okay, next one. So we're going to isolate the trig. We're going to subtract the 9 and divide it by 3. So 7 minus 9 is a negative 2 divided by 3. So we get cosine of theta is equal to a negative 2/3. Cosine is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. Okay, we get our reference angle from our calculator. So we're going to do inverse cosine of 2/3. And we get 48.190. Okay, so quadrant 2 answer is going to be 180 minus 48.190, and a quadrant 3 answer is 180 plus 48.190. So 180 minus 48.190 is 131.81. And then 180 plus 48.190 is 228.190. Okay? Now, process is still exactly the same. Now we're going to switch our mode to radians. So we're going to go mode and hit radians. Oop. Hit radian. Okay, so we're going to isolate the trig, so we get cosine of theta is equal to a negative 1/5. So cosine is going to be negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. Your reference angle. Inverse cosine of 1/5. So remember, we're going to ignore that negative sign. You get 1.369. Now we're in radians, so it's going to be pi minus 1.369, and then pi plus 1.369. So pi minus 1.369, you get 1.773 for that. And if you don't know where your pi key is, it's second caret. So don't use 3.14. 4.511. And that's it. Okay, cosecant. So anytime we're dealing with cosecant, we're going to have to make sure we use a reciprocal. Okay, so we're going to subtract 3. So we get negative cosecant of theta is equal to 4. And we get cosecant of theta is equal to a negative 4. So cosecant's reciprocal is going to be sine. So sine of theta is equal to a negative 1/4. Okay, so sine is going to be negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. Your reference angle we get from the calculator, we do inverse sine of 1/4 is 0.253. Okay. So quadrant 3 answer is going to be pi plus 0.253. Quadrant 4 answer is going to be 2 pi minus 0.253. It's 3.395. And then 2 pi minus 0.253. is going to be 6.030. Okay, and those are your two answers. And the last one. Okay, so I get 3 secant of theta over 5 minus 1 is equal to 0. Secant, I'm going to have to rewrite as a reciprocal down the road. So when we're solving this, we're going to add 1 to the other side. We're going to multiply by 5. And then divide by 3. Like that. Now, we're going to rewrite this as a reciprocal. Cosine of theta is equal to 3/5. Because cosine and secant go together. Cosine is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. We get our reference angle from our calculator. Inverse cosine of 3/5 is going to be 0.927. So quadrant 1 answer is 0.927. Quadrant 4 answer is going to be 2 pi minus 0.927. So 2 pi minus 0.927, you get 5.356. Okay, so that's how we do solving trig equations in the calculator. Should be pretty easy. Make sure that when we do our reference angles, you use inverse trig, and you don't include the negative sign. Okay, the negative sign tells us the quadrants. Make sure you're paying attention to your mode. Top section, I'm in degrees, so I need to change my mode. Make sure you use 180 and 360 in your formulas. If we're in radians, we're going to be using pi plus, pi minus, that sort of thing, 2 pi minus. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Have a good afternoon.